Possessing, presenting, or creating a fake certificate of any sort is a crime in Nigeria. It's a crime that has thrived over the decades because many employers of labor, institutions, and businesses do not run actual background checks on certificates presented to them. One market in Lagos has been particularly notorious for making fake certificates, the Oluwole market in Lagos Island. The business of certificate forgery was dealt a heavy blow between the years of 1996 and 1999 by the then military governor of Lagos State, Brigadier General Buba Marwa. He went after the forgers and demolished the market while chasing them down and prosecuting the criminals.
You know, before coming to Lagos, I served in New York as defense attaché. And one day I was watching a program called 60 Minutes. It's on CBS, 6 p.m. on Sundays. And I think it was Mr. Wallace, I still remember, he was saying that he himself is a white man, came to Lagos and got a Nigerian passport, and he actually showed it. And so that registered that, wait a minute, is this a country of anything goes? By then I didn't know anything about that I will come back to work there. And so once the deployment came, I remembered that there's something funny going on here about certificates, passports. And so we integrated it within the scope of the Clean Up Lagos that we did at the time. So that's actually the background to it. And in any case, when you fake a certificate, it's fraudulent. It's a crime. And for Nigeria to be portrayed in the international community as a country where anybody could just come and do the passports, it's horrible. We had an omnibus body at the time, the Environmental Sanitation and Miscellaneous Offences Task Force, which was backed by an edict. And it was this body that we made use of in several contending areas outside of crime in terms of armed robbery and stuff. That was Operation Sweep, that's something else. But all the others, especially the environment and miscellaneous things like this, we created tribunals that were mobile, maybe 40 of them. These are mobile tribunals with a magistrate's desk, typewriter, clerk, the full works. And when you are caught committing the offense, you are tried there, and dealt with. And this helped clean Lagos. So what did we do? We just went to that place and destroyed it. That's what we did. Meaning those who are engaged in these activities, they were nabbed, and it was incessant. They run to another place, we follow them. They reset, we follow them. So we nabbed them, and they faced the music. They were prosecuted, and depending on the established crimes, jailed for it. And that's the thing. There has to be a deterrent. Unless there's a threat of punishment of a scale that is unacceptable to the person doing the act, you won't ever stop this type of things.
The illegal business has not been eradicated from the country, despite several interventions and legal ramifications.
Forgery is a criminal offense, and the proof is beyond reasonable doubt. To establish forgery, for instance, you allege that I forged my university degree. The first point of call is the university. Take my certificate that I'm parading around, bearing A, B, C, D, and D, to the university and say, look, this lawyer says he graduated from the university. And then the university registrar, the university authority will check their records to confirm whether that degree was awarded to me or not. If it is not, then they will write back to you, that look, so and so person didn't come to this school. And forgery can take one or two forms. It could be that you didn't go there, you manufacture it. Then you get a document from the university to say, look, this is not, the man didn't come here, so he lied. Secondly, It could be that somebody picked my certificate and erased using whatever something and said, oh, look, he has LLB from University of Jos. And then you know quite well that the man didn't attend that university. Then you now get the real owner of the certificate. You present a genuine certificate and a fake one. So forgery therefore involves comparison of two sets of results according to our courts. So the problem is simply that we are suffering from total moral degradation. And until we engage in moral rebirth, moral rejuvenation, even the so-called balkanization of Nigeria they are talking about, is just nonsense, because if you divide Nigeria into 277 or 245 ethnic origin, you will still find the kind of Nigerian trouble. The problem is us. It's in us. It's in our character. It is in us. And until we change the us inside of we, Nigeria will still remain what it is.
If certificate forgery is actually a societal problem, and it's something that we are doing as a people and allowing to fester as a people, so how do the people actually feel about this? Is this a moral question? Are we really morally degraded as a people? And does it shock some Nigerians when they hear these stories?
It is unfortunate, and there should be a cogent way to solve this. You know, actually, we got it wrong at the point where certificate becomes the everything everybody was looking for. So people think once you show a certificate, you're good to go, you know. So we got it wrong there. People were not being evaluated based on what they can do, is on which certificate you carry. And that's why we are where we are. So Nigeria needs to retrace, look at what people can do, and evaluate them based on what they can do, not only what certificate they carry. That will also help us to minimize, you didn't go to school, you just go somewhere, get something cooked up. It's unfortunate. The day Bayelsa on 14th of February, I almost wanted to sink. I said, they showed me a video where the governor was rehearsing how to become, and I just heard an announcement in the court that he's no more a governor. Oh, no. And because of certificate again. No, it's unfortunate.
I feel scandalized and embarrassed by that kind of reports. It makes me feel sick. People are faking certificates because we've not paid attention to, or rather interrogated our curriculum in a manner that it's made useful to those who hold it. We pay too much attention to certificate as a basis for recruitment, a basis for promotion, basis for all that. We don't pay attention to productivity. Otherwise, if you pay attention to productivity, people may have certificates and you find that it will not take them anywhere. And it will find that, and then you will now get certificate. You will now see them unfashionable, all right? Because it's what you have inside of you that will reflect in the place of work. And if you are appreciated on the basis of the content you carry, I think this certificate stuff will be de-emphasized.
I feel so sad when I hear issues of people carrying fake certificates, because I feel the reason they don't want to go to school because they want to make it quickly. How can somebody just wake up overnight, he wants to hold a BSc and MSc, you don't want to spend some years in the university. So I find out maybe because they don't want to spend time in school. They don't want to learn, they don't want to study. The way out is for government to put all the policies in place by making sure that they really scrutinize somebody's certificate. If you present any certificate, for instance, what happened in Bayelsa recently, I blame the governor-elect. He would have made sure, because you don't appoint somebody that you don't really know about to be your deputy. He would have made sure they really scrutinize the man very well, check his credentials and everything. Look at the kind of shame he brought to the family and the whole nation. So people tend to fake their results because they don't want to go to school. They want to make it overnight.
We have a lot of stakes as Nigerians, and apart from that, we have an image very good image to portray to the outside world. So when they get to hear that Nigerians in so and so capacity forge their certificates, they feel like, what is wrong with these people? And that is why it's very, very saddening to someone like me and to a whole lot of Nigerians. Of course, they are doing it to make ends meet, maybe. They are doing it to get some certain things available for themselves. But by and large, they are doing it for whatever situation that may warrant somebody forging certificates. They are doing it for a very selfish hand.
With recent events and headlines, it's easy to point fingers at politicians, but they're not the only culprits. In 2019, the National Youth Service Corps handed over 40 corps members who presented fake university certificates at the camps across the country.
Our core employers, organizations who post core members to work with, do write us and are complaining of the quality of core members we post to them. We are not involved in the training of core members, rather they are raw material provided to us for us to post to the various core employers. So when I came on board, I have to come up with a measure to check. And what were the measures I introduced? I said there's a need for physical verification of this certificate rather than depending only on what they upload online. So, and what we discovered was mind-boggling. And we have raised an alarm, but I'm happy to tell Nigerians that those with fake documents who normally avail themselves have reduced drastically. In Brazil, over 20,000 foreign trained Nigerians uploaded online, but during the physical verification, only 3,420 showed up. So because I had earlier warned in all my fora that if you have fake certificate, NYC under my watch, we're not going to tolerate it because the Act empowers us not to mobilize unqualified graduates. And this we're determined to achieve. But I'm happy that our other stakeholders, because NYC cannot do it alone, we require the other stakeholders to be on board with us. And I'm happy something positive is coming out because we're already holding meetings with the NUC and other agencies so that we can tackle these things head on.
It gets worse. In 2019, the Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, Professor Abubakar Rashid, sent shivers down our collective spines when he revealed that the Commission had uncovered about 100 fake professors. Yes, even the ivory tower has been infected.
When I heard that there are fake professors, of course, it saddened my heart. But again, as a social scientist, as a criminologist, I shouldn't be surprised. And I wasn't surprised, just a feeling of, here we go again. Because when you go to senior advocates of Nigeria, how many of them are actually genuine in terms of soundness of their knowledge or practice of law? When you go to the field of the clerics, pastors, bishops, how many of them are actually committed to the faith they are professing? You can go on and on, that in most professions, nowadays, you have a lot of fake. But somebody would have thought that the producers of knowledge, the producers of people for the economy, for the politics, for the system, will actually manifest a high degree of integrity and honesty in not only producing students who are honest and straightforward, but they themselves will manifest a higher degree of integrity than the other profession. Just like the legal profession, somebody had expected that they will manifest honesty and integrity, particularly the judicial arm of the legal profession. The same expectation will go for university teachers. So, of course, I was saddened. But it's a case of, here we go again, the production of the social organization, of the system, of the development strategy we are pursuing, because it is said that you only reap what you sow. In sociology, we say there is a relationship, fundamental relationship between the social organization of your society and the chronic or persistent problems of that society. It is said that mere errors are random, but behind a persistent and systematic error, there must be a cause other than error alone. So why is it that you have the problem of fake professors, fake lawyers, fake engineers or architects who construct buildings that collapse, fake pastors who are found to be occultists or making love to people in their flock. Why is it that almost in every area of our life there is these problems of fakeness, of indiscipline, of lack of trustworthiness, of lack of credibility? So there is a cause other than error alone. It's not an error that is happening here or an error that is so far it's consistent. You must look for other sources of the matter, not an error. In other words, there's something generic about it.
The legal profession has not been spared. In 2018, headlines introduced us to 49-year-old Chris Elisha, a fake lawyer who had been practicing without a license for 15 years. And then there are the high-profile fake certificate scandals. There was Senator Ademola Adeleke and the alleged forgery of his secondary school certificates. Former Finance Minister Kemi Adeosun's fake NYSC exemption certificate scandal sent shockwaves across the country in 2018, raising the question of how the fake certificate went unnoticed throughout her illustrious career, which involved a Senate confirmation and security checks by the Department of State Services. Senator Foster Ogola, representing Bayelsa West Senatorial District, was embroiled in a fake PhD scandal from the GMF Christian University. Then there was the very embarrassing story of Salisu Buhari, the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, who in 1999 was caught in a fake Toronto University saga. He was convicted for certificate forgery and sentenced to 2 years in prison with the option to pay a fine. He ended up paying the fine and was later pardoned by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. But why have so many people resorted to committing this crime?
It is not an error that is happening. If you should say it's happening with one or two people, in one or two sectors of society, then you will say, oh, well, it's an error. Something is basically wrong. But when it's consistent, there must be a cause other than error. And that error, I say, is generic. And I said that you reap what you sow. Now, we have been sowing for the past almost half a century this social organizational system whereby you are supposed to be concerned and measure success by the material possession you own, by the political power you have, and by your prestige in society. Those are the measurement of socio-economic status, power, prestige in the society. Now, regardless of the sources of your material possession, regardless of the sources of your power, regardless of the sources of your prestige, people are only interested that you achieve success going by that measurement. And once you now emphasize that, you are also emphasizing individual interest over and above collective interest as measured by the values, the morality. But what you have now is a situation whereby the ethos are the dominant value of a population at a particular age or point in time. When the ethos is getting rich, getting position, getting power, getting prestige, regardless of how they are arrived at. In other words, the emphasis is not so much on how you get the power or the money or the social society. The emphasis is on getting it. To that extent, people use both legitimate and illegitimate means to achieve those. And that explains criminality in general in society. It also explains the matter of corruption. It explains the matter of indiscipline. And what happens is that over time, it has graduated and been manifested in different ways. Take, for example, the question of ordinary property crimes. We used to worry about burglary. Then, as this system intensifies and is extended, particularly by the elites, from burglary it became armed robbery. From armed robbery, car snatching. From car snatching, what do you have now? Banditry, kidnapping, and so on and so forth. In the olden days, it used to be pilfering pencil or paper or ink or whatever from offices. Now you steal government money heavily Not in thousands that we used to worry about, or millions but now in billions. So if you now go to the university system, you find misdemeanors of students or even of lecturers, but they were few and far between. Maybe in a decade, you find only one case of a lecturer having that problem, or none at all. Maybe in a year, you find only one or two students expelled for exam malpractice. But what do we have now? Compared to 1960, 1960 compared to 1990s, 1990s compared to now, you have a situation whereby it's almost like an avalanche.
In 2019, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board directed prospective candidates for its 2020 UTME to acquire the National Identification Number. JAM said the aim was to ensure the biometrics and other necessary details of the candidate were captured to check examination malpractice.
Remember when this good man, Professor Oluyede, wanted people to go into JAM only by having NIMSI. Then I remember I contacted him. And what was discovered is that NIMSI itself was like a bedrock of corruption in terms of the students to be able to get their NIMSI card. To the extent that Professor Oluyede had to reverse himself, that you cannot register for JAM without having NIMSI. Why? Because of the corruption in NIMSI. So the point I'm trying to make is that over time, with the system you are having, system of development, leading to this dominant ethos of individual interest being emphasized over and above collective interest, you should expect what you are having. There is no society that is free of crime. Wherever there is crime, there must be, wherever there is law, there must be crime. Whenever there is organization, there must be some element of disorganization. It is only when it becomes, using your word, extensive, in which every section of the population is getting involved and is to the extent that it's destroying the fabric of the society, that you say you have a problem of crime, or what we call a crime problem in criminology. But in terms of the incidents, one or two, of course, it has to be, because we are not robots, and the impact of culture is variable. It does not affect everybody to the same level. And like I said, we are not computer, in and out the same way. So nobody will be worried if it's fake certificate among students. Now, or one or two students. Now you have it among many students, among many so-called graduates. Now, not only that section of the public, but even among lecturers. Again, reflecting this idea that let me be successful by hook or crook.
Professor Femi Odekunle is worried about the way an issue as important as fake certificates is treated with kid gloves.
Even people who are caught are not subjected to punishment in terms of promptness and certainty. One of the factors to make for effective social control is that punishment must be, whenever you discover a misdemeanor or a crime or a deviant behavior, the sanction, punishment must be prompt, it must be certain. That will prevent others from following through. But when you have people who have been accused of corruption going into your Senate and being your lawmakers, when you have people who have been accused of corruption winning gubernatorial elections or becoming ministers, of course, the message you are passing down to young people or even to lecturers is that if you really want to make it in this society, you have to cut corners. Part of cutting corners is getting a fake certificate and arranging to get fake promotion.
Imagine a generation of Nigerians with all the certificates necessary to do a job, but no skill. Imagine a generation so corrupt that a corps member can present a fake certificate at a camp or a place of work anywhere around the country. Imagine a generation of Nigerians who are unable to stand up for what it is that they believe in and give zero regard to things like hard work, excellence, and perseverance. These values will mean nothing to that generation. Imagine a country with that group of people in the helm of affairs.